Have you ever felt paralyzed by the need for everything you do to be perfect? Today, we're going to explore the double-edged sword of perfectionism and how it might be holding you back more than you realize. Make sure to watch until the end, because I'm going to share a personal breakthrough I had with this and how this massively improved my execution, productivity, and creativity. Before moving on, I just want to quickly mention my newsletter. If you're interested in diving deeper about the topics from my channel, get my free to-do list template, or you just want to get to know me better, check out the link in the description. Now let's get back to the video. You can look at perfectionism as a double-edged sword. On one side, it helps you in having high standards, great attention to detail, and a relentless pursuit of excellence. But on the other side, it can actually kill your execution, productivity, and creativity. It is the side of perfectionism that prevents us from taking the first step. Whether that is putting out your first YouTube video, writing, or even talking to someone or striking up a conversation. You're not putting out your first YouTube video because you have too high standards. You're not writing anything because you know that it will take a lot of time to write something good enough, so you don't bother starting. You're not striking up that conversation because you think that not knowing what to say or what you're about to say is not good enough. Perfectionism creates hesitation, self-doubt, and ultimately inaction. What your perfectionism is preventing you from seeing is that imperfect action beats perfect inaction. I'm going to repeat that again. Imperfect action beats perfect inaction. Who do you think is going to create a better video? The beginner that created 10 imperfect videos, iterated and got better along the way? Or a beginner that waited, hesitated, speculated, and only made one video in the same time span? There's actually been a great test related to this exact topic. A professor divided his university photography class in two groups. The first group would be in the quantity group and graded solely on the amount of work they produced. 100 photos were rated an A, 90 a B, 80 a C, and so on. The second group would be graded only on the quality of their work. They will only need to produce one photo, but to get an A, it had to be almost perfect. At the end of the semester, the professor found that all the best photos were produced by the quantity group. During the semester, the quantity group was busy taking photos, experimenting, and learning from their mistakes, while the quality group was busy speculating. In the end, the quality group was left with just a lot of unverified theories and one mediocre photo. Now let's move on to a practical way to solve this. I use a framework that is called FBR. I got this from Ali Abdal, and he got it from a podcast Tim Ferriss had with Safi Bahcall. And Safi Bahcall is a physicist, technologist, business executive, and most relevant here, a successful author. In the podcast, they also talked about how his framework, FBR, was very similar to Robert Rodriguez's process, who is a filmmaker, screenwriter, producer, cinematographer, editor, and musician. And he is known as the Wizard of Hollywood. So FBR stands for fast, bad, and raw. When you're in the beginning phases of making something, for example, writing or making a video, you actually want to get started as fast as possible. You actually just want to do it fast, bad, and raw. And this is where the acronym comes in. It is so simple, but yet so powerful. By just thinking of FBR, you completely destroy the bad sides of perfectionism, and it makes it so easy for you to just start, because your goal is to just do it bad and wrong. So perfectionism is not going to hold you back, and it's not going to prevent you from just starting. And if you end up making something good, that's actually just a great bonus. The reason you also want to do it fast is because of momentum and creativity. In the podcast with Tim and Safi, they talk about how creativity comes from momentum. If you, for example, are writing, you want to allow your creativity to flow and just write down what comes to mind. If you're fixated on writing your words correctly or the sentence correctly, you stop and go back. You're essentially killing this momentum and ultimately your creativity. This is just your perfectionism coming through again. Don't let it distract you. Just do it fast, bad, and raw, and keep going. There's always time to edit later. That is the time where you allow your perfectionism to come through. And it's going to be a lot better because you're going to do it in a future session and you can look back at it with fresh eyes. But now is the time for action and creativity. Act first and then the inspiration will come. And when the inspiration comes, allow the creativity to flow through you by keeping up the momentum. Now let's move on to a personal example I had with this. In the beginning of my YouTube journey, I often had days where I was going to create a storyboard for a video, but I procrastinated. I didn't know what I was going to create, and I had these high standards of how good my storyboard needed to be, and all these thoughts paralyzed me. It felt like just a heavy lift to get started. So more often than not, I just ended up pushing it off and procrastinating. But eventually, I just had to sit down and do it. And almost every time when I'm done and look back at the storyboards that I created, I'm thinking, how the heck did I create all these storyboards? Where did it all come from? When I'm creating these storyboards, it honestly feels like creativity just flows through me. And remember, I had no idea what I was going to create before I sat down and did it. It's like I'm drawing it from a source that can't be accessed until I just start. Almost like a source that is not from me, but through me. I know it might sound kind of woo-woo, but it all comes back to what I said earlier. Act first, and then the inspiration will come. I hope you enjoyed that video, guys. And if you're new here, this channel breaks down self-development concepts in the exact same style as this video. So if you found that interesting, make sure to hit the subscribe button, or you can check out the next video that is linked here.